In this video, I'm going to show you how to calculate your heat value, or the amount of heat transferred between objects. So the formula to find heat, which is symbolized by the letter Q, is Q equals M times C times delta T, or change in T. So M is for mass, the mass of the object. C is the specific heat value of the object, and then change in T, or delta T, is the change in temperature. So your final temperature minus your initial temperature. Now, every time you get a question, you are going to write the values on the side, so that way you can just plug them into your equation and then put it in your calculator and solve. So I'm going to show you how to go through a question, and then how to interpret your answer. So the question is, how much heat is transferred to 60 grams of water if the temperature of the water increases from 40 degrees Celsius to 55 degrees Celsius. The specific heat capacity of water is 4.18 joules per gram degrees Celsius. Show all of your work below. So they give us a lot of information in this question, and we are going to label it and then write our values. I don't want you to just go ahead and solve it without writing anything, because it's easier for you to see all of your work if you make a mistake than to not have anything to look at. So the first number that they gave us is 60 grams. We know that grams is our mass. So 60 grams is going to be the number we write for M. The second and third number they gave us, it says the water increases from 40 degrees Celsius to 55 degrees Celsius. So they are saying that our end temperature, or our final temperature, TF, is 55 degrees Celsius, and our starting temperature, or TI for initial, T initial, is 40 degrees Celsius. So to figure out delta T, I need to do the final temperature minus the initial temperature. So that would be 55, since that's what it ended with, minus 40. 55 minus 40 is 15. So that is going to be the number that we use for delta T. And then the last number they gave us is the specific heat capacity. So 4.18, that is C, the specific heat value. So I'm going to write that for C. And then what we're looking for is how much heat is transferred. So that is Q. I meant to write a question mark. Okay. So now that we know all of our values, we can go ahead and plug it into our equation to solve. So Q equals M, which is 60, times C, which is 4.18, times delta T, which is 55 minus 40, and we found that to be 15. So our last number is 15. And again, so I just plugged those numbers into the equation up at the top. So 60 times 4.18 times 15 is going to give us 3,762. And the units for this is going to be J for joules. Okay. So now that we have our answer, I'm going to box it, and we're going to look at what does that answer mean. So depending on our answer, it is either going to tell us if the substance absorbed heat or if it released heat. So that is all based off of the part that I just circled. So if we get a positive answer, that means our substance absorbed it. If we get a negative answer, that means our substance released it or heat. So it is possible to get a negative answer, and that's all based off of your temperature. So if your temperature ends up being negative, your answer is going to be negative. If your change in temperature ends up being positive, your answer will be positive. Okay, so our answer was 3,762. So Q is a positive number. So because it's positive, we know that heat was absorbed. So heat was absorbed because, and I'm just going to abbreviate that, Q is positive. And if we wanted to include evidence, or if it said include evidence in your answer, we would say which is positive 3,762 joules. Okay, so when it asks for evidence, it usually means you need to include your answer in your explanation. Okay, so you are going to use this formula and this way to solve it to do the next two questions on your paper. You need to make sure you are showing all of your work, and then you are going to just type your final answer into the Google form. So if my answer was 3,762, my answer that I'm putting in the Google form would be 3,762. I would not put anything else. Don't put the comma, don't put the unit. Okay, and then you are going to determine whether energy or heat was absorbed or released after you find your answer.